Okay, Mr. Mayor, we are live and ready.
Recorder's on.
Yes, it is.
Meeting come to order. Regular City Council meeting Monday, September 14th, 2020. Roll call please.
Mr. Nathan,
Here.
Ms. Sweat,
Here.
Mr. Colburn,
Here.
Mr. Campbell,
Here.
Mr. Morrison,
Here.
Ms. Rojas.
Here.
Uh-oh, we just froze.
We can't hear, I can't hear the council chambers.
Yeah, I can't either. Something just froze there.
Bobby, can you hear me?
Can you hear us now?
Ooh, there you
Now I
are.
can hear everybody.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Why it swapped over.
Ready?
Yes.
Agenda approval.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All in favor? Nathan?
Aye.
Sweat?
Aye.
Over?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Morrison?
Aye.
Rojas?
Aye. Uh-oh. Again, we're froze.
How about now? Okay, sorry.
Okay.
The sound is just a little weird on the system and we're waiting for the better internet connection for it to be better. But please let us know when you can't hear us again, if it happens again, hopefully not.
They get a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
All in favor? Nathan?
Aye.
Sweat?
Aye.
Over?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Morrison?
Aye.
Rojas?
Aye.
Proclamations and public presentation prior notice. We have one public presentation for items not on agenda. Anybody?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have a hand raised. It's Ms. Laurel Hiltz.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. I just wanted to get on here and share about the Seldovia Bay Ferry. We just wrapped up a season of true Alaskan travel. Just finished up on Sunday, and we're really thankful. Hang on a second. If you can not chat for a minute. We're making sauerkraut in the background. I apologize. But just really thankful for our crew and our staff making a great season for all of us. And I just think that we really could tell this summer the importance of all of the people in the community that put in time and effort to make volunteer events happen. You know, missing the larger events like the Solstice Festival, the big chainsaw carving competition, 4th of July festivities, etc. So looking forward to next summer being a great Seldovia summer with visitors from around the globe. And I also wanted to mention just that obviously we're dealing with the bear issue, and I don't know, I'm not looking at the agenda right now, but I would really ask that the city council put a priority on addressing how best to go about bear proofing city trash and sheds, etc., and then encouraging our community members to do the same. I think we can look at the folks who live out the road outside of city limits, who have a long history with the bears and have found ways to live peacefully without bears having to be put down, hopefully. And I'd love to see the same in Seldovia. And so whether it's looking at ordinances or just ongoing education, but finding ways to work together with people to do the best that we can so that we can live peacefully with the bears without having to have nuisances going on and bears eventually being put down. And think about my third thing. The third thing is that the Chamber of Commerce, we just released our nomination form for the Citizen or Business of the Year. The Chamber votes in October to select either a citizen or a business of the year to recognize for this year. And the nomination forms are available at the post office and also online via the Chatterbox. And if you're not on the Chatterbox and you need that link, just let me know and I'll get it to you. But just remember that when people are nominating individuals or businesses, we ask that they provide substantial supporting information so that when the chamber members are voting, they have good information to base their decisions on. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Anyone else? If not, committee and advisory board reports. Any board reports, Heidi, you know?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, moving on. Public hearing, resolution 21-07, a resolution of the city council of the city of Segovia, Alaska, further extending the disaster emergency declaration for the city of Segovia, issued on March 11, March 20, 2020, due to current extra impacts of the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. How do you want to speak on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This resolution is on page 7 and 8 of the regular packet. They can come forward just because that previous extension of the emergency disaster declaration expires on September 23rd. And having this declaration allows us to still receive support from the state and the borough, certainly with the CARES Act coming up, and if there's other things that are available in the future, it allows us to still reach out for those support items.
Thank you. Council comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
what's the downside of all this? What are we asked to do as a result of this declaration?
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to address that? It's just to allow, and you'll see in the resolution, I believe it talks about, it allows us to be able to partner with those entities and have their help in the future. There isn't, that I know of, a negative effect on the city other than the fact that we have an emergency disaster declaration, which a lot of other municipalities in the state, including most of the ones in the borough, I should double check, and maybe all of the ones in the borough, have, along with the borough and the state. So
No change in mask policy or size of meetings?
no, it won't affect any of it won't affect the city following the CDC guidelines or any course that we've been on so far. It just allows us to still partner with those entities and ask for assistance if needed.
Thank
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, just one quick comment too. Yeah, and I kind of was thinking along the same line of George as George, and I know this is in one sense housekeeping, but in cities around similar to Anchorage, they've had some unintended consequences of the powers of what the mayor's been doing up there during these times. One thing I note that in section 1 here, it says or until repealed sooner, which basically means we could repeal this at any time when and if that time comes prior to December. So I think that's just worth noting.
Cassidy, go ahead.
It'll also help us coordinate with those agencies if and when a vaccine becomes available and for distribution, if it's before that date on the declaration. So it definitely provides us with a lot of supports that we typically don't have access to.
Thank you. Any other comments, council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I was just, not sure if you can hear me. Yes, I'm in support of Resolution 2107. It is a housekeeping, but it also gives protection for Seldovia and while we get through this COVID throughout the year. So I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, council? Hearing none, we'll move to public comments on this item. Anybody from the public?
Not at this time.
Pardon?
No, not this time.
Okay, what's your wishes, council?
I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution 21-07.
Second.
All in favor, Nathan?
Aye.
Swett?
Aye.
Over?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Morrison?
Aye.
Rojas?
Aye.
Motion passes. Resolution 2108, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sedonia, Alaska, confirming the appointment of Heidi Gagel and Layla Jan Peterson as co-acting interim city manager and authorizing a temporary contract with Cassidy Cameron for limited continuance of service. Heidi?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is on page 9 of the packet, and it just appoints the co-acting city managers, Layla and myself, and then authorizes a temporary contract with Cassidy Cameron at the rate previously discussed. At the last meeting, it was discussed if there would be a cap, and so I included that in this resolution. If council wanted to put a cap for the monthly expenditure on that contract, if not, that can easily be removed from the resolution. And I also know that the council had asked to see a workout of what the expense would be for following this.
We lose him.
Yeah, we lost audio again. Vivian, can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay, are we back?
You're back.
Where did you lose me at? So-
Were you the money?
Yeah, about the expenses.
Okay,
You
yes,
just-
there's a cap in there in case the council wanted to pursue having that as part of that contract with Cassidy. Otherwise, that can be removed. I know that it was discussed that council would like to see a layout of what the cost of this plan would be. And so far, that is the only cost that's been recognized. Layla and myself, and I hate to speak for Layla, but certainly myself, I haven't had a chance to consider what kind of compensation, if any, that would accrue for being an interim city manager. But certainly I did want to make note that interim city managers the going rate is really averaging between $8,000 and $9,000 a month plus living expenses. Is something I've seen in other communities, and we are not going to even come close to that, I hope. I can't imagine coming close to that amount. But if there is a compensation for Leila and myself, we can address that later in the resolution. And certainly I would like to hear what council's opinion is on that before we go down that road.
Thank you. Other comments?
Uh,
Boy,
Mr. Mayor.
are
Hello?
we-
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep, I think we should look at or discuss the additional hours for the city manager. If we choose to cut that off, we should probably do that, or we should set amount of hours per month for Cassidy's time. So I think we need to have a discussion about that. And then also, I think Heidi, if I understood you right, you were asking for some direction from council about if you're having to put on overtime hours or more hours to accomplish both your clerk job and then part-time city manager. Is that correct? Is that what I heard you say?
No, sorry, I wasn't trying to give that indication. I just, at the last meeting, it was brought up that perhaps for compensation for Leila and myself serving as co-acting interim city managers, there would be a small couple dollar per hour compensation or something to account for that work. And that's not something that we have discussed yet. And certainly we can do that and bring back a proposal in the form of a resolution. But I did want to kind of get council's thoughts on it, if anybody had a thought on it in the first place before we went down that road.
Oh, if I may continue, Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry, what was that?
If she can
If I,
continue.
I didn't.
She wants to continue.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I would just say I would be in favor of, yes. I think the work that you and Leila are going to be doing, I think you need to be compensated for it. I would be in agreement to having that discussion. And again, Cassie, how do you feel about additional hours? We would like to keep it. I know you have two tasks. One is the police chief and then helping with the city manager hire. Those are kind of your focuses, or was it, I'm sorry, maybe it was the audit.
So the police chief position, and then also making sure Jan is up to date on her training and getting her to where she's comfortable doing the tasks that she needs to do for her job. And then just some, I'm very much committed to making sure that small communities receive data from the state regarding COVID-19, and that's something that I'm still working very adamantly about. So kind of those three things would be kind of my
would be the three that you were working towards. And so how do you feel about those 5 hours that you're going to be working on per week? Or
Yeah,
the 20
I had come up with that 20 hours a month of contribution to see how that goes. When we discuss the police chief position here on whatever agenda item it is, we can talk about that. But I mean, obviously, if I don't foresee, I feel like that is a comfortable number to be able to be a support for Jan, as well as staff and any other needs that they need, and then try to help get that position filled, as well as any peripheral stuff, real minor stuff. So I'm comfortable with that threshold.
Okay, so I guess I'd like to hear from council. We feel like we need to put a cap on the amount of hours, or if Cassie is comfortable being able to accomplish what she thinks she can do in that 20 hours for the month. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
May I have a point of clarification for Heidi. Was that number to fill in the blanks, was that a number for hours or a dollar amount that you are looking for?
I had it in my mind as a dollar amount, so it's $1,500 a month for 20 hours. And then, each additional hour would be $100. So if you get an extra 10 hours for $1,000, an extra 20, not that you're necessarily able to fulfill that amount of hours, but should we take up that much of your time, is there a stopping point where we say, no, this is just gotta wait and we can no longer.
Yeah, and I'd like to be able to say no to if I can at that point. If it turns into a something larger than what we're anticipating, I think that's a conversation that's deserving of both parties.
Did we lose audio again? Yeah, I think you're back.
Okay,
There.
doing that, but I'll get on with IT tomorrow and figure it out.
Any other comments from council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, gentlemen.
Yeah, I've got a comment on in terms of the additional hour. Well, I guess first of all, yeah, I do agree with Vivian that I think for starters, additional compensation, whatever that needs to be for Heidi and Layla is warranted in this case. I mean, we've obviously got a hybrid scenario here that's going to hopefully fill the bill for what we're looking for here in the interim. So I think that's worth additional discussion, probably for the next meeting. And then in terms of the additional rate, if we wanted to put just make sure we have something in there for Cassidy for a stopgap, then if we had an additional 20 hours a month, at maximum. So, I mean, I would be fine with that. Not to say that you're going to use that, but I mean, if the rest of the council felt that was warranted, then I'd be on board with that. And I mean, we do got some tough issues coming up here, trying to work through the police thing, trying to work through the city manager thing. So it's pretty easy to burn up 5 hours a week. That everyone knows that. And then in section 3, where we have this, that this resolution takes effect immediately upon passage, we might want to have, we could do like, that this thing sunsets December 31st or something like that, to where we have to revisit it. So that's probably a good idea to have that language in there.
Thank you for that, Jim. I agree with that, is to have an end date or when the city manager is hired, and then talk about, the transition plan for that position.
Yeah, I think it just re-engage the discussion. I think we lost audio again.
Hello. Jeez.
We got you now.
Are we still lost?
We can hear you. I don't know if everyone else can hear you.
I can hear you, Bobby, and I can hear Jeremiah.
Yeah, I can hear you. I cannot hear council.
But I don't think it's, the rest of them can hear.
We can hear you, Bobby. It's just our audio that's dropping for some reason. And like I said, I'll approach IT about for tomorrow. Thanks for letting us know.
Oh, okay. Can I talk now?
Yes, go ahead, Bobby.
Okay, so I'm definitely in favor of this also, and I'm going to support it. Just a couple of questions or a couple of points. Cassidy, what do you think? What are you willing to put in extra if you have to a month on these hours?
I'm comfortable with Jeremiah's suggestion of doing the 20, and that'd be a total of 40 hours a month. I'm comfortable with
Okay,
that. That looks like
okay,
hours a week, and that's absolutely doable. I mean, I can, like Jeremiah says, you can burn up 10 hours real quick.
well, right, and I can see that definitely with everything we've got going on now, you know? So, yeah, I'm good with that too. And I just want to reiterate that I definitely think Heidi and Layla are going to be needing some compensation. And we can talk about that at a, you know, a little bit later, but I definitely support that.
You finished, Bobby?
I'm finished.
Okay, any other comments, council?
I agree with Jeremiah and Bobby.
Okay. We'll move to public comments. Anyone from the public?
No indications at this time.
Okay. What is your council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if there's no other additional discussion, I'd like to go ahead and offer an amendment to clean up the language.
Okay,
Okay, on page 1, section 2, insert an additional 20 hours a month. And on section 3, add a sunset expiration date of December 31st, or unless revoked sooner.
all in favor? Nathan?
Aye.
Sweat?
Aye,
Campbell?
Aye.
Morrison?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on.
We gotta,
Main motion.
I gotta make a motion to adopt resolution 21-08 as amended.
I second.
All those in favor? Nathan?
Aye.
Sweat?
Aye,
Over?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Morrison?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
Motion passes. Unfinished business, request to consider replacement of small business and economic development rental buildings. Ross, Heidi, you want to start with that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is just to address the council, if there's any formal action or discussion, direction that they'd like the city to move in per the work session that we just had. To reiterate that work session a little bit, the city council and some public met near the Gateway Pavilion where the buildings are currently placed, and had a discussion about that placement of the buildings there, or if they were turned 90 degrees and then put in the row. And then after that discussion, they carried the discussion down to the next lot next to the Soldovia liquor store. Blanking which lot that was at this point, sorry about that. Where there was further discussion about what it would be like to have the buildings on that lot, how much electric would be, which is in the packet and the laydown. The Homer Electric Association did give us a quote for electric to the Gateway Pavilion, $5,500 for installation, and then it was approximately $700 and some change for installing a meter stub. So we would have to reach out to HEA about what that cost would look like for that lot next to the Soldovia liquor store. But I imagine that's probably about where it starts. And should the council want us to pursue that or any other leads or any other information that they'd like for these discussions in the future, certainly we would love to hear that from you.
Thank you. Council comments?
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
Yep. I'd just like to thank Heidi for what she put together. That was a really good packet of information. Thank you for getting that together. I think it was a pretty good conversation that we had. And so one thing that I definitely am on board to finding out is an HEA estimate for that lot. And then we can work from there, because we're going to have to go back, and if that lot is chosen, then we're gonna have to go back and discuss what are we turning that into, the language used for that lot, since there was no description on it right now. I appreciated all the input, and I have no problem with that lot down next to the liquor store, as long as the price for HEA is not exorbitant. I would have maybe a hard time, depending on how that price comes in, and being financially responsible to Seldovia, the city of Seldovia constituents. But I thought it was a good discussion today, and I would like to have the staff move forward and get a closer estimate on that HEA bill in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments, Council?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry that I wasn't able to be there. I really wanted to be there, especially for that, obviously. So, I guess I don't really know what to say right now. I'd like to get a little, when I get back, I'd like to get some more information as what happened on the work session. And if there's a laydown, I'm obviously not able to pull it up. I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what, but anyway, that being said, I am in favor reluctantly of moving those buildings for various reasons. And I do like that lot next to the liquor store. I think it can be, I think the buildings could look really nice there. I do want to say that, well, maybe I better not. I just better shut up about the whole thing. We're going to do what we need to do. And like I say, I do like that lot, and I think they'll look really nice there. As far as the electricity goes, you know, I think for the first year or so, if whoever leases them could possibly use a generator for a bit, if they really need electricity. So many things are battery operated these days that, and it's summertime, you know, will they really need electricity? We'll have to see. I don't know if it's critical to try to get it in the first year. So anyway, that's all I have to say right now on the subject.
I think we're waiting for the council feed to come back again.
There, we're back.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd offer a comment.
Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, I think the work session was pretty productive. Obviously, you can tell that it brings out a lot of passion on the way people feel about our waterfront. I think in the end, when we had a good spirited discussion, we walked down to the other end, looked at the other lot. I think in the end, the other lot just makes a lot more sense. Certainly the council, when we did this a year ago, I mean, has got the right idea. We all want our town to survive. We want to see economic development. We need to see it move forward responsibly, and that means developing our waterfront responsibly. So I'm glad we're stepping back, taking a little extra time to do this right. When you look at where the initial placement is, and then even versus the next placement that's closer to the pavilion, it just, what we basically talked about in the work session is that it just all still looks too crowded in that area and not well thought out. It looks like a compromise to me. The other lot down by the liquor store, look, it's big enough to where we can do a planned development down there. I don't think utilities are going to be much more. I mean, it's another, if it's another 100 feet, I think you'll find that the cost is reasonable. And there's room for expansion in the future too, which makes a lot of sense. So it's good to get some business moving towards that end of the town. And then the other thing that, brought up is just about developing all of our waterfront and our lots where we have vendors now along the waterfront. There's plenty of space down there for a multitude of vendors, plenty of parking. It's kind of a win-win for everybody, in my opinion. So that's, I think, this needs to stay on the agenda. We'll have to work through it. There'll be plenty of time, though, if we can come to an agreement with the council, plan our dates, get locked into HEA if if the cost is reasonable, get locked in early in the spring, get the building set, and away we go. I think it's just going to make a lot of good sense to do it down there. That's all I've got. Thanks.
I'm sorry, I don't think I closed public comment. Close public comment. What are your wishes, council?
Are we done with council comments?
Yes.
You hear
Well,
us?
I did want to say something else, but never mind.
I think they lost us when you went to the public.
They what?
I think they had lost us when you went to the public, so I don't know that the public got to hear
Yeah, the
the
public
public
didn't hear
piece.
you.
So there might still be council discussion
Okay. So we'll go to the public.
if there isn't any further council
Is
discussion.
there anybody in the public on?
Bobby said she had something else to say.
Never mind right now.
Is there anybody from the public online?
Yes, Mr.
We lost the feed again.
Gotta say it over, Dean.
Pardon
Gotta say it over.
me? What are your wishes, council?
I think this is just a discussion item, Mr. Mayor. I think we've put in the request that we move forward with having more conversations about this, more discussion about it, and then perhaps getting an estimate from HEA. I think that was part of the deal. I think we're still having conversations with this for the future. Is that correct, what I understood?
Okay,
Yeah, I think
okay, good. Moving on. Police recruiting proposal. Cassidy?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On page 10 of your regular packet is a memo and then a few white sheets regarding some possible options for consideration. I think I'll just start off the discussion with the not so positive news that Chief Roble in Homer was able to reach out to his and his officers, and they were not interested in any kind of a model with us because of the time that they would be spending away from their community and their families. While I know that we were talking about that as a possibility, how the council wants to pursue that as reality, either with me in there or if that's a goal for the next city manager to keep pursuing that. But in the meantime, filling the position in a status quo. Oh, there's a typo on this. My apologies, on page 12. But if we do a status quo, find a candidate that is a good fit for the community, and then also look at possibly with that option of the status quo to build a hybrid support model where there would be a schedule that could be created where a fill-in or a support individual could come in and give the officer, the chief of police, some scheduled time off so that they would know that they have that time away from the duties and responsibilities of the position, and possibly alleviate that pressure. That would create some sustainability and retention in theory. But again, it always just comes down to finding that right fit for our community and the individual's capacity to adapt to all things Seldovia.
Council comments.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Bobby.
So Cassidy, a couple of questions. What is the status of the interim policeman?
I have reached out to a few people, and I've had some back and forth with one of our previous police chiefs, and he said that he has some people that might be interested. Nobody is bitten. It's not doable considering their schedules that they're currently on.
So does that mean then the potential is there to be without a policeman until we hire somebody permanently?
Well, I mean, there are two moving trains going side by side right now. We're the option of having an interim police chief is always in the works. We have to find somebody that wants to come to our community and make that commitment and figure out what those details are. But then concurrently, it's filling the position as well.
Okay, I guess I'm misunderstanding. I thought an interim, they will just go wherever, like a traveling nurse. No? Okay.
No.
Okay. Oh, well, I don't know what to say about that then. The other thing is, have you reached out, or do you intend to reach out, or have that be something that the next chief would do to other communities that would potentially be a thing like you said with Homer, that might be interested in doing that?
Yeah, I'd like to get the council's input on where the priority lies and where you want the time spent. The police chief's position is advertised right now, and we do have some candidates that are still filtering in, and we're kind of going through that regular process that we always do. So we have that going on. From the last meeting, I don't know that if there was a consensus to pursue this restructuring of the department where we develop an MOA and a relationship with another partnering police department. So that to me was not an affirmative, something that was affirmative from that last city council meeting.
Okay.
Any other
Yeah,
comments?
I guess we'll have to, I don't know what to do either. I guess we could wait out another full-time police chief and see how that works, see how long they stay, see if it's any better with the next one. And then maybe explore something else, or what? I don't know. I don't know what the rest of the council would like to do. That's all I have.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you. Comments? George?
yeah, Cassidy, have you looked at some kind of a custom arrangement with the Homer Police. Say we funded a position for them, but we only used it half of the time, or 1 week a month or something. That would give our guy a day off, or a period off, but it wouldn't take their position for, we wouldn't have one of their guys over here all the time. So essentially they'd be only paying for half of an officer and they'd get a full officer position. And we explored any kind of imaginative ideas like that with Homer, and they just said no, period.
The interest is not there to do anything other than go home every night. And I don't think that's fiscally, available to us to fly an officer in and out every single day, every single night, and maintain that.
Well, what I was thinking was, say 1 week a month, we'd use one of their people.
Right, and that's with option 3 is that hybrid model. And
Yeah.
the recommendation in that option 3 would be to find that, status quo police officer from the candidate, the pile of candidates that we have right now, and then supplement that structure with something like that where we could possibly get, partner with Homer for 1 week a month, or partner with anybody. I mean, we could partner with a 2 week on, 2 week off department somewhere across the state that maybe somebody wants to earn just some extra money so they can remodel their bathroom or something. I don't know. I mean, it could be desirable, but what I'm looking for from council is what direction do you guys want to go in right now, and what is realistic? To me, you have 3 options to consider. Option 1 is just to do status quo, hire somebody and hope for the best. And that's it in a nutshell. Option 2 is to try to develop a cooperative department restructure. And that's going to take a lot of time and energy, but it might be worth it to create the sustainability that we're looking for. Or option 3 is to do a hybrid, that hybrid support model where you have, your status quo police chief with some set schedule, and we have another person that we contract out one week a month, kind of to give them a reprieve. The finances are all out in the following pages for your guys' consideration. Right now, if we're at status quo, we're right around 126 grand. That was what our last officer was negotiated at. If you do a 1 week per month fill-in support officer, I imagine that rate of pay is going to be a lot more than the average rate of pay of a trooper is right now, which is $29.86 per hour. I basically doubled that because to have somebody come here for 1 week a month might cost us a little extra coin. And that's going to increase our budget with the extra charges as well as the lodging. It could, you're looking at $144,500 a year. So you're looking at $20,000 more annually with that hybrid structure. Now with the cooperative agreement structure, the idea is to just transfer or just push that $125,000 that we spend annually already on a police chief and contract out with another agency and write them a check for $100K, and they can provide that officer to us. We would have to do lodging and travel as well, but it would run around the same as what we've been budgeting, and what we're budgeting right now for personnel is $125,000 annually.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Mr. Mayor? Did we lose him? Yeah.
I think George was still speaking there.
You have something else?
Sharon?
I did have something else, but that's all right.
Huh?
Say.
Go ahead, Vivian.
Oh, I was just going to ask, Cassie, where are we sitting with the applications of the police chief position? What do we have in front of us?
I have one possible candidate, and then I received another one at the end of last week that I haven't been able to go through. But the choices are slim.
So two that fit the bill. And
I'd be careful when you say fit the bill. They would,
have applications in.
yeah. And Bobby and George, you did look at some of the candidate packets, so maybe you can speak on that in terms of the, the right fit. And maybe I am holding a high standard since Paul was such a perfect fit for our community. And I do feel like that worked very well for Seldovia in a number of ways. And maybe that's what I'm looking for. Maybe I need to lower the bar a little bit. That's not my preference.
Well, Cassidy, I looked at only one that Heidi gave me. She wasn't sure about, there was some up on the shelf in your office and she wasn't sure about those. So I only saw the one from Utah. And the question I had about that one, of course, was his wife, who is a nurse.
You need to be
does
very,
she-
very careful in what information you talk about during this
sorry.
meeting.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, well, I just won't say anything right now. I'll just wait on that. Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot.
So well, I'm still talking, Mr. Mayor. So I guess the question I have, so we have very few candidates at this point for our regular position. And then Homer is out of the picture. But are we looking at, are you, Cassie, you're asking for council's direction as far as, do we want you to seek other police departments and see if we can do a 2 on, 2 off? There might be other communities out there that we can actually propose something to. Is that what you're saying? You're mute. You're on
The
mute.
2 on 2 off model is not on the table. The 2 on 2 off model is going to run us about $170,000 annually in salaries, and that is just not feasible considering our budget. The 3 options for consideration are option 1, the status quo, no restructuring, running us at $125,000. Option 2 for consideration is a cooperative department restructure, which would be contracting and developing an MOU relationship with another department at the same budgetary number that we are running at right now. Option 3 would be to have a status quo police chief with seeking a backup support that would be contracted 1 week per month. And that's going to run us around $144,000. The 2 on 2 off is not a model that we can afford.
Right. I guess I was intermixing scenario 2 with the 2 on 2 off, because with that scenario, that's where we were talking about doing another department, work with them, and those folks would be coming in rotating. They'd come for 2 weeks. Joe Blow would come 2 weeks, and then am I misunderstanding that? And then
the schedule would have to be negotiated because
Okay.
it's clear that another department is going to have a hard time giving up an officer in their department for 2 weeks. So you're going to look at maybe like a 5-day rotation where we get in an officer every 5 days. Those details would be negotiated out depending on the
Right.
department's willingness to do it.
do we know of anybody who's doing this in the state right now?
Whittier and Girdwood do it.
I guess I'm a little bit concerned that we're going to be chasing the golden goose as far as trying to find a police chief who is really he's a solo act and he's his own boss. and find someone who will come to Seldovia. And I just don't know if that option exists, I'm afraid to say. The second option would be great, scenario 2. The third one would require that we actually find a dedicated police chief, and then we find somebody who can come in part-time. I hate to throw this in, but we may be looking at a third scenario, and that may mean that we decide that we negotiate with SVT and we give up our troopers $20,000 a year, which I presume we use for our budget to budget our policemen. And they do the VPSO, and we have a policeman who just takes care of Seldovia, which would then give him much more breaks in a reality that he wouldn't be working 24/7 because he would not have calls out there. That's another, I mean, that's someplace way out of the box that a lot of people aren't very happy with talking about. It would require a lot of discussion, a lot of discussions, a lot of information that's put down legally. I just don't know what the pool is in Alaska for any policeman. I guess that's a question I have for you. What is the word on the street in Alaska, Cassidy?
It's not a career choice right now, nationally and statewide. Municipalities are having a hard time retaining officers, but they're also having a hard time finding officers. All of the candidates that would be considered right now are out of state.
Okay, that's it for now for me, Mr. Mayor.
Impressed me much. There was one applicant that would do. That's about the best I can say. The second, just real quick, Cassidy, if I can be any assistance to you, I would certainly give you some time. Maybe I can help you talk to other agencies or whatever I can do to help you, if it would free you up to do other stuff.
Okay. Other comments, council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, we're kind of in a tough spot here, obviously. I mean, right now, one or two would work. I mean, any of them would work right now, but I don't see anything in the foreseeable future that's going to get us out of this jam, that's going to take care of our immediate needs. I think what, not to complicate it more, but I think Vivian raised a valid point on the VPSO. I know Crystal kind of, had opened that door again on that. It would definitely be worth it. When you think about this, the sharing option of us having a full-time police chief with, 1 week off, what if the salary difference for that 1 week was the $20,000 and we had an MOU or something, if it's even possible. I don't know how that would even work with the state for scheduled time off. Now we have an MOU for backup, obviously in an emergency situation. But for them to cover 1 week a month scheduled time, I don't even know if the state would be on board or willing to entertain that. So that would have to be a further discussion. I just don't see that. I mean, great if we could find someone that is willing to come here like we've done in the past for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. That may be the best we can get at this point. I still think the human factor kicks in, and regardless if you sign up for the job or not, you're human and you need time off. Simple as that. So, whether it's we go with during that time that we have no coverage like we have now, or if we try to contract and we get an individual from a department to fill that 1 week void. It would seem to me that 1 week would be a whole lot easier to get right now than trying to find someone, to staff our department full time. So it might be worth reaching out to Girdwood to see, or to Whittier to see if, they're interested, or if something like this would, maybe be up their alley for that 1 week. And then we keep looking for that, that person to come along. Yeah, not a tough situation right now. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Any other comments? John?
I'd be for option 3, hiring a full-time and then getting a 1 week replacement once a month or once every other month, so there's time off. And I've never really been in favor of the trooper contract. That's 15 to 20% of the salary and 47% of the work. It's a lopsided deal. That's all I have.
Anyone else? Comments? Council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Early.
I remember years ago that I was happened to be talking to a lawyer, and he said that cities like ours can either choose to have no police, or they can choose to have the police force in full here. I wonder what happens in areas that choose not to have a police force. Do they have a committee or somebody that, like Neighborhood Watch or something of that effect? I mean, if that option's out there, I would love to see a police officer here. I think we need one. But can we do it ourselves? If we have the option of not having a policeman here, how do communities and places that do that, how do they enforce their laws? I don't know that. I would like to have some more information on that.
Right. Any other comments, Council? If not, we'll move to public comments. Anyone from the public got a comment on this? Do we have public online?
There is public online, but nobody's raised their hand yet, Mr. Mayor.
I can't hear you when you're looking at me.
Sorry, there is public online, but nobody has raised their hand yet, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Closing public comment. What are your wishes, Council?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Cassidy, did you get, I know you were asking for some sort of direction. Do you need more quantified direction from us? As to
Yes.
what we're, yeah. I think I think everybody would love to see a policeman here. Can we work that, as Jeremiah said? So we said, yeah, you come to Seldovia and we'll give you a week off. Just like right now, we have no policeman in charge. There's no one here. Why can we not put that into our package that you would have whatever they need, if it's a week off every 6 weeks or something of the sort, where we just don't have a policeman here and people dial 911 and get the troopers if we're that desperate and we can't find another solution. That could be a solution. Right now, we have no cop and we're living and breathing and knocking on wood, nothing horrible happens. I would also encourage, my personal ideas that as Jeremiah said, we on option 2, we continue to see if that's an option. If we can hit Girdwood and Whittier and see if we get a yay or nay there, I don't know how many places we can reach out to, but maybe reaching out for option 2, which may be the fastest solution possible to get an answer, yay or nay, might be the way to run for it. And then when does the police chief position close? Is that on the 15th or is it open till filled?
It's open till filled.
Yeah. And do you think that the way that we listed as a police chief, that eliminates people who have not been a police chief before, but they have been in departments. Does that eliminate, do you think that eliminates any applicants? Just the way that we are posting it as a police chief position, but they're really a policeman who's their own boss? Does it really?
No, the job posting just has the requirements from the state, which are pretty minimal. We don't have any formal structure like a traditional police department. It's literally just the title. We don't have different levels because we're a one-man show, but the climate of policing is one-man shows are or woman are very it's not like the good old days. I mean, there's a lot of risk and a lot of liability that goes into being a single person department. And that's a showing in our inability to retain our good officer because of that amount of pressure and the cultural and climate shifts in policing nationwide.
You know, I think that even if we get a police person to take option 1, that we put out there, if option 2 doesn't come forward, if option 1 works, that we still work towards having a part-time policeman. That could be our goal, to working towards that full-time, part-time, to give that person a break and hopefully get a person to stay here longer, if that seems to be the issue. So I'm thinking that really our option 2 and option 3 are probably our best bets, because we're probably not going to find a person to do option 1 and be satisfied and stick around and not get burnt out if they don't get any breaks. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, John.
Yeah, in terms, I think I agree with what Vivian's saying. I think it makes sense. Well, the more and more I think about it, you know, to even advertise it as a rotational position, like a 3-in-1 or something, that might be a lot more appealing. Now, it's probably not going to be a person that's going to live here, but you might get somebody, you might widen the pool on someone that knows they're going to get a rotational schedule, just like a slope worker. 3-in-1, it's pretty appealing versus a full-time person that's either got to pick up their family and move here. If they know they're going to get 1 week a month off, it's just like there's thousands of people in Alaska that do rotations, and that's just their life. That's just what they do. Now, it'd be our problem for that 1 week. Like Vivian said, maybe we work to try to find, a person from another department or somewhere we could augment that. Maybe we end up, it takes us a year and we go back with SVT. We talk about the DPSO thing. There's a lot of options, but I think if we focus on, if we can't find a full-time person, then we look at an optional 3-week, 3-in-1 rotational schedule. And I think you'd be surprised, we might entice a few more folks to come out on something like that.
That is a great idea and a great concept, is to reword the advertisement, and which in turn revises our expectations and the candidates' expectations of the job, and maybe that would open it up to a wider pool. I love that. Thank you, guys.
Essentially, you're not forcing someone to have to move here that doesn't want to move here. Simple as that. Although we'd all like to see that.
Any other comments from council? If not, we'll move on. You have direction, Cassidy.
Yeah, I've definitely got a lot more meat to work with. So thank you everyone for that. That was a great discussion. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Moving on, treasurer's report. We have none. City manager's report, see lay down.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Page 27 of your laydown is my final city manager's report. I heard from Dr. Zink today, and the commissioner is has been pinging their Department of Law for the regulation changes on that information that'd be available for communities under 1,000. So I am continuing to push for that. I think that piece of advocacy for our small rural communities is vital, especially not just for a pandemic, but just in general, working with the state for health issues that could arise later on down the road. So I will give you guys an update when I hear any updates, but it's still in the works. I'm still bugging her, and I will not stop. Let's see, the Corona Relief Fund Grant Program, the City of Seldovia Small Business Relief Grant Program, our first phase and our first award. It closed on September 1st. And over the last 7 days or so, the review committee was able to meet. We've been able to go through all of the applicants, and the City of Seldovia awarded $80,000 to 14 businesses in Seldovia. The award letters went out on Friday. We have some minor paperwork things that we're needing the businesses to provide to us, and then we'll be issuing those first checks out. So we're very happy to be supportive and to be able to push those funds back into the community and support our businesses during this really challenging year. In relation to that, we're still anticipating that 84,000 from the borough. We're waiting for that grant paperwork to get back. They're processing it through legal right now. And once that grant paperwork gets done, we'll be receiving that appropriation, and the bulk of that money is going out to phase 2 of the small grant business program. And both Heidi and Jan will be working on what the components are of the application process for that second round, whether it will remain the same or whether one piece that we have identified is that there is a need for nonprofits to be able to apply, which we didn't include in this first round. So that is one thing that we talked about, is making the application available to nonprofits in our community. And then kind of what are the stipulations around, if you've received first round funding, will you be eligible for second round funding, and what is that going to look like? Whether that's going to be another 100% eligibility award, or will your award be different based on receiving that initial grant? So those pieces are coming out, but I think that's a really positive thing for our small community, and for the little amount of money that we received from CARES, we definitely put it back into our community. And I hope that it can help businesses stay open and be in business for 21. I think that's what we're all looking at right now in terms of goal wise, is to get to January 1st, 2021 and see how we all feel. So the CARES Act expense tracking. Hold on, can you go talk to your brother about that? I'm almost done. Thank you. So the CARES Act expense tracking, OMB, keeps revising the requirements of reporting, and Jan is on top of that. We knew that the requirements would change. We just didn't anticipate so many changes in such a short amount of time already, but we're very much on track with meeting the requirements of those funds and making sure that we're spending that money correctly. So I don't have any heartburn or concern over how we are going about allocating our funds. So the cell phone, internet, and internet issues after that power outage, I think it zapped a lot of the infrastructure with ACS and GCI on that tower. ACS had remedied it to a point. And then it was found that there was additional damage to a, what was the term? Now I can't remember. But GCI, and it's GCI equipment that needs to be repaired. So finally, GCI and ACS have gotten together. ACS has to escort GCI to the site. It's co-located. They're coming here tomorrow and they're going to be fixing that and hopefully alleviating our issues that we're having. However, this is just a Band-Aid to a really long-standing problem. And with this being my last council meeting, I am going to just be very frank with you all. Please do not let our cell phone technology and our need for better cell phone service go on any other part of the priority list than at the top. I think I think we matter, and I think that we need to continue to be heard and continue to be loud, continue passing resolutions, continuing knocking on those doors for GCI to continue their project for another cell tower. They have told me, as well as Crystal Collier and as several meetings that we've had over the last year, that they have the funding for the project. They're trying to pin down the location. I believe that the TV tower location that is owned by SNA is a possible solution, and not sure what the hang up is, but I do think that it's critical for this age for us to have cell phones that work, not just so that we can text one another and say, hey, what's going on? But so if there's an emergency, if something is needing to be done, people can contact each other and contact who they need to contact without any worry or hangups. 10 days without reliable cell phone service is hindering our abilities to run businesses, to take care of operations wide, to take care of anything emergency wide. We should not have to scramble to be able to communicate. I'll get off my soapbox. Okay, please, we just talked about that. The FY20 audit, we're still wrapping up. I haven't heard from Steve on that. I'll touch base with him tomorrow. That winter schedule, we all saw the winter schedule. It's better than nothing. The wastewater and lift station pumps, they are in the works. Heidi's going to be working on, what it's going to take to fund that. It's going to cost a pretty penny for us to replace those lift station pumps, and she's working on different ways and different approaches to that, as well as the Public Works Department. Water line infrastructure repairs, we've completed all of the known leaks and gotten all those buttoned up. And I've included one of my favorite graphics this is the water consumption for this summer, the summer of 2020, May through September 14th. And as you can see, back in May 1st, we were up there at the 120, 130,000 gallon range, which is unbelievable. And today we're down into that 40,000 gallon a day range, which is optimal for our community. So the guys have really been doing good work on making sure that repairs are getting done, and we've definitely made that our priority, and our goal is to make sure that we're on top of that. And I think the proof's in the pudding. You can't deny the data. And with that is my meeting, my manager's report.
Thank you. Any comments?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for putting this together, your final report here. These are always informative. Yeah, I'm one of the people where my cell phone does not work on the cell tower here. Everyone knows it's intermittent. It's hit or miss in any specific household. whether or not your phone works. And I'm working remotely, so I work in Anchorage full time. And then when I want to come home and work remote, like I'm doing this week or for a few days, my phone doesn't work. So I can't be away from my phone when I'm running guys in the field. So I have to stick close to where I've got a Wi-Fi signal. And we finally got Verizon to actually, after an hour on the phone, to get our phones to reboot to where we can actually at least do Wi-Fi calling. But it's rough without the phone service. And I would agree that even tonight's meeting is a prime example of our bandwidth. It's terrible. I think there's a lot of different things that would come into effect if we get a new tower and new infrastructure in our town. And as Cassidy said, it's vitally important that that stays at the top of our priority list. So that was my only comment. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor? Are we froze out there?
Froze again.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Cassie, great report as always. So clarify, like my phone has been working, but have people not been able to call 911 literally in this town unless you just happen to have a phone that works? People have not been able to make that 911 call if they would have needed to. Is that correct?
I have under the impression when I talked to OEM at the borough that frequency is a different frequency. The emergency call, the 911 system is a completely different set of frequencies. And I did not have any reports of anybody trying to call 911 and not being able to.
Oh.
I've been in contact with Homer Dispatch to let them know what's going on. So if there was, I would love to be able to know what the circumstances were for that emergency and how that call went out. Now, you're not going to have cell phone service when you're more than likely out at the beach, even on a good day with cell service. I don't even have that. So whether I've never had to call 911 when I'm out of the range. So I'm not sure, depending on the factors, but I do know that with Wi-Fi calling and the landlines were done and my phone was working fine. So I know that there was a lot of phones were functioning, some were not. But as far as I know, the 911 emergency availability is on a different frequency and a different channel.
Okay.
And Dan had told me that he didn't see any issues with the emergency call outs.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And I totally agree that this needs to be on the top of our list and stay on it. And hopefully SNA will be negotiating and with the entities and get it taken care of. But thank you, great report.
Any other comments?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the 911 system, your cell phones, even if it's shut off by the phone company, 911 works. It doesn't even need to be online with any phone company. 911 works regardless.
Thank you.
The other is, thanks for the good report, Cassidy. That's it.
Other comments? If not, we'll move on. Chief Police report none. Harbor Master report none. Public Works report none. Information items on the current action. There are 3 mayoral candidates and 1 council member candidate for the ballot. The city manager's last day is Tuesday, September 15, 2020. The city manager application period closed Tuesday, September 15, 2020, as of Wednesday, September 9, 2020. There are 4 completed applications to review. A special meeting for candidate review is scheduled for Monday, September 21st, 2020, 6 p.m.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could speak to that just real quickly. Can you guys hear me? I just wanted to just state real quickly that there is a sample ballot in the back of your laydown. that includes those candidates. And that there are now 5 completed city manager applications on file. And if those council members that were on the review committee, and I believe it was Jeremiah and Vivian and possibly George or John, would have to look back at the minutes. If you wanted to come down and review those candidates on file, just to make sure that they're all ones that you guys want to go through with discussing on Monday, then I can go ahead and send them all a form to be notarized saying that they'll be discussed in a public, their application will be discussed in a public meeting. So it would be great if any of those council members on that review committee would come down and take a look at those.
Heidi, I'm sorry, when did you say would be a good time to come down and look at them?
Anytime this week, preferably sooner than later.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Executive session, non-council mayor comments concerning items on the agenda. Nathan?
I wonder if we could have some study on that curve that's right across the street from the boat ramp there, right where we were looking at buildings earlier. Turn that goes around to the north. I know I've had many close calls on that little piece of ground there, and I think everybody sitting here has at one time or another. Kids on bicycles coming the other way, you don't see them until you got them right in your grill.
I think somebody should cut that brush on that side. of the street.
Or maybe enhance the side of the sort of a path on the other side, on the outside of the turn. Maybe we could make a sidewalk there. I don't know what the answer is, but we need to do something with that
We agree with you.
bend in the road there.
So,
Yeah, thank everybody for attending the meeting. And Cassidy, I want to personally say thank you for everything that you've done. You've done a terrific job and you've really moved us in a good direction. And I'm sorry to see you go. That's all.
Thank everybody for a good meeting. Thank you for all your hard work, Cassidy. We're gonna miss you. Thank you, ladies, for stepping up to the plate. That's it.
Campbell?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yep, me too. I want to thank Cassidy for her service to the community. It's been much appreciated, and I appreciate your professionalism and your dedication to the job. So it's definitely going to be hard to fill those shoes. It's been nice having someone that lives here and has a vested interest in the decisions that come out of that office. That is not a fun job, and I would not want that job. So I appreciate all your efforts, and we realize the sacrifices you've made for your family. So again, that's a personal thanks from me and my family. One other item to touch on, the bear-proof container discussion that Laurel alluded to. We've had a couple other people in the community approach us, and I've been seeing firsthand. We've been hit down at the hotel now a couple times this week where the bears have ripped the doors right off our garbage shed. And this morning they got the harbor garbage shed and disintegrated that door. So I know we had this conversation, it was either last year or 2 years ago, but we need to get that back on the agenda, at least for the community cans that are around town, because it's getting old and it's probably just going to get worse here. So I'd like to at least get that discussion brought back up in the near future here so we can plan for the summer. Thank you, everyone.
Morrison?
Yeah, thank Cassidy for all her hard work and great job. Thank the staff. Great meeting, thanks.
Ross?
Yeah, Cassidy, thank you for all your work and your dedication, and I wish you well with your next endeavor. I definitely agree with getting the bear proofing canisters together. That's something we need to look at. Also, this question is for Heidi. Heidi, do we send out that letter of appreciation to Mike and to Val? Did that get sent out with everybody's signature?
Yes, it did.
Okay, great. All right, and thank you, staff, for all your hard work. You're doing a tremendous job.
I want to thank everybody for their time and the work they do. Next regular meeting will be held Monday, September 28th, 2020 at 6 P.M. Motion to adjourn, please.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Pardon?
Did we have a second, Mr. Manning?
Do I have a second?
Did we have a second? Did
I was
miss it?
told we don't need a second for adjournment.
Okay. I have to look back at Robert's rules for that.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, thank you.
Stay. He eats out.
You got the papers to sign, Heidi?
He's very timid and he